And welcome into the Bulldog Blitz. I'm Gerhard Mathangani, joined in by the head coach of the Anderson Bulldogs, Eddie Bullock. And Coach, week 3 was a tough one, 15-12. Came up just a little bit short against Cherokee County on the road. But I'm sure you're really proud of your guys' fight going up to center and playing a solid Cherokee County team as well as you did.
Well, we played a tough game, and as always, Cherokee County had a tough team, and we just came up just a little bit short, and just got a few things we got to work on to correct for next week, but I think we'll be fine.
Absolutely. They're one of the teams that had come in with a 0-3 record, but they've played 3 really tough ball games.
Right.
They played a team out of Georgia in Cedartown. They also played Piedmont and played Hoax Bluff, the team that went deep into the playoffs last year. Was this a better team than their record as it indicated?
Absolutely. Their record was not indicative of how well the team played. And like I said, it was a hard-fought defensive battle, and we just came out a little bit short. They made a field goal at the end, and, they deserved it. They played just a little bit better than we did. Absolutely.
We always talk about how teams looked as far as the way they looked on film and then the way they looked Friday night. Were they about similar?
Absolutely. They actually, we kind of got them out of the element. We wanted them to throw the ball a little bit more, but, they got a couple of running plays that started clicking for them, and they kind of stuck with that on a couple of drives, and we got a little misaligned on gap integrity, but, they just made a few more plays than we did.
Absolutely. What are some of the things that you've seen now that you've seen 3 weeks of work with your guys, all games on the road? What are some of the things that you've seen maybe from the time you started the season till this point?
Well, defensively, we're pretty solid. We got some young guys, but it seemed like they gelling a little bit. And we just we have to clean up a few mental mistakes. And offensively, I think we can move the ball anytime we get ready. It takes the offense a little bit longer to click, and we're still kind of waiting on the quarterback to kind of settle in and get everything going, because everything revolves around your quarterback.
Absolutely, and he was the guy that takes every snap just about in every game, and he's really coming off of a year where it almost took a medical red shirt, so to speak, if you were to take that into the NCAA. Talk about his performance so far. I know that there's a lot of things that you've seen as far as natural talent and his ability to play, and then some of the things that you want to see him progress on as the year progresses.
Well, he has natural ability to lead the guys, but there's a few things that developmentally you get just by playing, getting the reps, not only in practice but in the game, and I think that's the part that he may be missing right now, is the actual game speed and the development in the situations in games. But overall, he's leading us pretty well, and we just waiting on it to get to where we really feel like he's capable of what he's capable of doing, and once he get there, I think we're going to be pretty solid.
Absolutely. Coming up next year on the Bulldog Blitz, we'll take a look at first half highlights from Anderson's game against Cherokee County. Stay tuned.
The Warriors will receive to start the first half.
And welcome back to the Bulldog Blitz. Coach, talk about some of the things you saw here in the first half as you went to center.
Well, we won the toss, and I elected to defer, and we kind of got out of our lanes on kickoff, and that's something I've been working on about the past 5 years, trying to make sure that we do the things that we need to do, but defense came in right here, and we made a couple of solid plays, but a couple of times we lost a little gap integrity, and right here you can see we had a coverage bust. The cornerback, we was in a zone coverage, and the cornerback went to the middle of the field, and they ran a wheel route behind us and ended up scoring. And it was something that we should have taken care of, but we didn't. And we got the ball back, and as you can see here, we pretty much drove it down the field. We saw the answer to bail. They came out, and we ended up having to went out on 4 downs on this particular drive here. And defense came back, and we held them pretty solid right here. You can see we kind of got the quarterback bottled in, and our defensive end lost containment, and we were able to let them move the chains with first down, but we were able to hold them on this particular drive here. We were able to keep them out of the end zone and got the football back and caused them to punt. right there you can see when we do it right, we pretty much can stuff anybody. Right here you see a screen pass. We was alert on the screen pass for no gain, and we made them punt the football. And right here we ran a quarterback read and got pretty good yardage on it. Trying to work on our running backs and our quarterbacks by running behind the pads. You can see here J.B. Carlisle makes a good cut on the inside, and he also, one of the things we have to work on his own read is keeping him in behind his blockers. Right there you can see he had a great game, staying behind his blockers. And here we ran a little clear out to the tight end and had a great game there. We come back with a screen pass right here, and we got some positive yardage out of that. That's something that we have to work on, but we ended up stalling the drive, and we turned it over on them. We ended up punting the football, and as you can see right here, the defense swarming and create a turnover. We got the ball back for the offense, and I believe on this one we ended up punching it in. Got a couple of good runs by our running back, JB again. You see him getting positive yardage right here, and got the ball down on the inside. Well, actually, we threw an interception right here, and that drive stalled. And we were pretty lucky here because the quarterback there is a pretty good athlete, and he was maybe one block away from returning it, but the defense stalled him again, got the ball, and we threw an interception here on this particular play, and forced a fumble, but they recovered it, and we had a situation where we held them again and we made them punt. And right here they got a bad snap, and we ended up recovering the ball, which we didn't have to jump on it there. But we got the football, and that's Ladrika Hall. He's a sophomore receiver. He's playing great for us. More of a possession receiver, very smart. And this particular drive, we ended up punching it in. Titans scored for 6-6. We missed the PAT at halftime.
6-6 your score there, and Coach, we always talk about how the little things can snowball into some of the bigger things. 2 big interceptions by Cherokee County, both times the defense stopped them, and then you get a miscue on their special teams, which led to the touchdown that tied it up. Talk about some of how these small things wind up into big things, and then what your message was at halftime.
Well, basically, I told them at halftime we needed to make sure that we do the little bitty things because the defense is playing pretty solid, and we always talk about sudden change, but I'm trying to avoid the situation where you keep putting the defense in a situation to where they start getting down on themselves. But I'm so proud of our kids because all the challenges that we had defensively on this night, they answered the challenge. It was just great. But that was the halftime message, was just clean up the little bit of mistakes.
Absolutely. We've talked last week about their quarterback in Tyron Dupree, one of the top quarterback talents in all of East Alabama. What were some of your impressions of him after that first half, and then the way your defense responded?
Oh, he's a great athlete. We knew we had to keep him bottled in, and for the most part, we did it. Most of his runs were on special teams, I have much respect for the kid because he played quarterback. He also played safety, and he never came off the football field, and that's what big time players do. When you want to win, they find a way to stay on the field and get it done, and you forget about getting winded, you forget about being hurt, all that. You do the things you need to do to win. So he's a great athlete.
Absolutely. Was your game plan to be as balanced as you guys were, and what were some of the things you maybe saw in that first half what you wanted to execute in the second half?
Well, defensively, I felt like we could, as long as we control the quarterback, we would be fine because I didn't think that they had a solid running game, and we wanted them to pass the ball more, to sort of get out of that element. And then offensively, we felt like that we could run between the tackles, and once we get them counter in tight, we would start trying to run on the edges. But we didn't quite execute it like we needed to.
Absolutely. Also, in the second half, it seemed that, in my opinion, going into overtime, that every possession really seemed important. Every time that any team got the ball, because it was 6-6 at halftime, and there was a lot of punts, and then some turnovers really on both sides for you guys causing them, and then also their guys causing some, that possessions, having the football and what you did with it and field position were really important as well.
Well, of course, speaking from my side, we want to force turnovers, and we believe that we can force turnovers whenever we get ready. But offensively, we felt like that we let a few possessions slip away. We had situations where we would have one miscue, and instead of a big play, we would end up stalemate, either having a tackle for a loss or maybe a turnover, and or we would end up punting the football. And I really felt like if we played at the capability that we should have on the offensive side, that we could have easily been up maybe a couple of touchdowns.
We always talk about in this segment about how teams looked on film as compared to when you get field level with them. Were they about as big as you believed, and size-wise, what was their physicality stacked up against yours?
Well, we felt like we were pretty much equal. They had a couple of guys maybe a little bit bigger than some of the guys that we have, but overall, that was not a factor with us. I wasn't overwhelmed with, the size and all that, but they were a typical spread team like we, prepared for, and it's just a fact of executing, the things that you do in practice against it. And, we came off a short week of preparation. We only got to practice one day, so, I don't know if that played a factor. I'm not using that as an excuse,
right.
But those couple extra days always help out.
Absolutely. Coming up next here on the Bulldog Blitz, we'll take a look at second half highlights and the way everything played out. But before we go, the Anderson High School Marching Band had another great performance at center. Take a listen. We'll be back. 6-6 was your score going into halftime. Coach, talk about some of the things you saw here in the second half.
Well, we came out and we knew we were getting the football, and Sharrell Brown here, return guy, gave us good field position on the return. We had a couple of special plays that we run, and we came out and we wanted to kind of hit them hard and fast. And we started moving the football, but we ended up stalling on the drive. And right here, you can see we stacked them up on the inside like we wanted to, and you can see we just, when we do it right, we look well. Right here, we ran an option to JB, and he got some good positive yardage, but we ended up still making a little bit on the drive again. And as you can see, we move the football when we get ready. But we ended up turning the ball back over to them on a punt, and I think this may have been the longest run that the quarterback had against us offensively right here. But, we started losing a little gap integrity. Linebackers were overrunning some plays, and, Cherokee County came down, and, they punched it in on us. And actually won a hit. But, one thing I like about my team is we came right back and responded back. We moved the football down the field, and we're trying to kind of get them out of that mentality, responding after the other team does something. We want to sort of hit first, and as you can see, Ladrika Hall again, big possession receiver. This kid just a sophomore, and we got to find ways to get him the football a little bit more. Of course, that's JB, the running back. He's a sophomore, and we ended up we got first and goal, and we tried to punch it in a couple of times on the quarterback sneak, but we wasn't quite getting the drive that we needed, so. We decided to toss it and go outside, and we actually missed the PAT, and we came back and done a placement kick, and I thought this was a big momentum change here. We got the football, and I was sure that we would end up punching it in, but we stalled and got a couple of penalties, we ended up backing up, and we got a bad snap on the punt. In the first half, you saw they got a bad snap, and we got one this time, but the defense ended up holding, and they got a field goal attempt, and ended up missing it. So I was proud of the defense. We did what we needed to do, and we got the game in overtime. And of course, they won the toss, and we got the football, and on second down we threw a fade, and we just made a bad play, just a bad play. Quarterback didn't place the ball where we needed to place it, and once again the defense came up, and we basically held them out, and they had to try a field goal again, and this particular time they made it. So they did what they needed to do.
Absolutely. 15-12 is your final score from center. And Coach, you talked about how it was basically almost like a slugfest where, they threw a punch and then you guys threw a counter. And then they threw another punch in the second half and then you guys threw a counter as well. And then it comes down to whether it's a ball placement, it's a snap placement, some of those smaller things. What was some of the message that you had both internally and to your team after that?
Well, just cleaning up the small mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
We once again, that we made the mistakes when they were very critical, and one of the biggest messages I gave my team was about special teams. We had an opportunity, and special teams is something we work on every day.
Right.
And we just been struggling with, PATs, getting guys confidence to make it, and I basically told them, had we made one PAT, we would have ended the game in regulation, mm-hmm. and we just sort of let it slip away, and that's how important that special teams are.
Mm-hmm.
we got an onside kick, we recovered it, and that was good, and the defense played solid, and we came up and we fumbled a punt that gave them good field position, and the defense held up like they should have, but I try to stress the importance of just special teams. That's the third phase of the game, and it's just important as offense and defense.
Absolutely. Does it make you relieved as a coach knowing that a lot of these things that you're talking about, whether it's special teams, whether it's ball placement on a snap or a pass, they're fixable, they're correctable things that you can do each week in practice?
Makes me relieved but not satisfied.
I get you.
Once again, those are things that you work on, and I look at it as leaving points on the field or leaving opportunities on the field, and I just believe that if you're going to be a good team, you have to clean that up. But if you're going to be great, you have to have excellence or strive for excellence in all three phases. And I have to find a way as a coach to get them to understand the importance of special teams and the little bitty things, And I mean, it's easily fixable, mm-hmm. but I can't accept that. I'm not satisfied with that until we can play a solid game, in all three areas.
Absolutely. We talked about this a little bit last segment, but Hurricane Irma obviously affected practice for just about everybody and for you guys especially as well. What were some of the things that you did as far as preparing the guys for a game, knowing that practice time was going to be limited and you're going to have to do a lot more film work and things that were off the field because the weather was so bad?
Well, when we got the announcement, we generally watch film on Sunday afternoons, and once I got the announcement, I knew that there was not any chance that we would be able to practice, and I didn't want that to be a distraction trying to find time to practice. So mm-hmm. I just basically told the guys that I'll see you guys Wednesday, and I told the coaches to watch film, and I sent film out to the players, and it was just fortunate we didn't get the type of weather that we thought we were going to get, and mm-hmm. actually Cherokee County had an opportunity to practice.
Right.
They practiced 4 days versus us practicing 1 day, mm-hmm. and going out to play against them. And I'm not using that as an excuse,
sure.
but I wanted to have the mindset to where we were not going to have any distractions. Just it was beyond our control, and there was nothing we could do. So we were just going to go in on 1 day preparation and just let the chips fall where they may. And I think we did a great job of that, Now, in the back of my mind, I mm-hmm. still think about 2 extra days of preparation, but, unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to get that.
Well, I was going to ask you as well, does that change how you do practice, mainly because in a normal practice week, it really is 3 practice days in a walkthrough.
Right.
Your Wednesday and your Thursday, did it look any different trying to augment that, or did you try to keep it as much the same?
Well, I kept it exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Normally we do conditioning. We normally go in shells, and we mainly do basically just possession work, film work, things like that. And then on Tuesday, we normally go forward pass, and then Wednesday we go back to shells mm-hmm. to polish. And basically we just had one day of polishing. We didn't do any full pass, and then Thursday was a walkthrough, and we went and played.
Absolutely. Well, after 3 games on the road, the Anniston Bulldogs will come home for the first time. We will talk about Anniston's Week 4 matchup with Jacksonville next. Well, 3 games on the road to start the year. For the first time, Coach, you're on the bottom of the TV screen. Jacksonville coming to Anniston, 1-3 for the Golden Eagles, and you guys at 1-2 back at Mosby Memorial. First off, Coach, just talk about the big picture, coming home for the first time all year.
Well, we're just glad to be at home now after being on the road, for your jamboree and then for, your first 3 games. So, we're excited. We expect a lot of fans to be there, and the kids will have great support, and we just glad to be back at home on our own home field.
Absolutely. How is the energy in the building at school whenever you do have that home game on Friday night?
Well, it's very upbeat, and just the entire season has been totally different. I'm so proud. Our kids been pretty much supportive, students in the building, and even the fan base has been very supportive because the kids have been so competitive, and it's just a total different atmosphere. And I know it's going to click, but once it clicks, we'll be as solid as any team in the state. It's just a fact of us cleaning up just a few things, and I think once they see it, once it really hits, though, it's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. Jacksonville has 1 win on the season. It was last week, and it was probably one of the biggest wins in all of East Alabama. They got a big win over Hoax Bluff. It was the game that I helped cover on TV24's Pigskin Roundup. 28-27 was the final score there. Was it a situation, as you look at this Jacksonville team, where you were a bit surprised, or was it the team that basically that you knew could come out and do what they did to the number 7 team in the state?
I was not surprised at all because, rankings can be deceiving, and I feel like in our region, I think we have one of the toughest regions in the entire state. And, the strange thing about our region is anybody can beat anybody. So when, I heard Jacksonville beat Hoax Bluff, I was not surprised at all. And, originally, they had Hoax Bluff pick to win the region, and, Sachs in second, and, that sort of turned a little bit. But as you can see, Sachs ended up right now in the driver's seat, and we have 6 teams tied for second place. So, it's anybody's region at this particular point. And anybody in this particular region is capable of beating a team at any time.
Right, and we talked about it, how basically there's 2 teams that are sandwiched on either side. One is 2-0, and the other is 0-2, and there are 6 teams right in the middle there. As you take a look at the region overall, and you compare it to last year, what are some of the things that pop out at you, maybe from a standpoint of the teams that were supposed to be picked in some of the way teams are playing right now?
Well, I think it's a little bit more parity than we had last year. Last year, Sachs was pretty good. Cherokee County was pretty good. And even Jacksonville. Those 3 teams may have been a little cut above everybody else. We were sort of in the middle. And again, anybody was capable of beating anybody at any time, but those particular teams, because of their senior leadership, stood out just a little bit more than the other teams. But this year, it's totally different. There's no team that sticks out. Each team have great athletes, but I believe there's no team that sticks out so much above the rest of the teams. And I think the region championship will be determined. You won't be able to determine that until the end of the season.
Absolutely. It won't be a one-game situation where that game is the region championship. It will be an amalgamation of all of them. As you take a look at this Jacksonville team, what are some of the things that pop out and some of the things you need to execute Friday night?
Well, they very well-disciplined team, likes to run the football a lot, and has a good running game, and very disciplined. He got most of the starters back on defense, so I know there'll be another defensive battle. But the thing we want to do is kind of set the tone and establish. We want to do the things that we do, and I'm not so much worried about the other team. I'm just worried about the things that we do and execute them to the best that we can.
Absolutely. And also at the same time, I feel like both offensively and defensively, there are certain things where you pop it on film and you can say, hey guys, this is what we need to work on, and they'll know it and they'll see it, Same thing for Jacksonville as well. Final thing before we get you out of here, what are some of the things that when you pop the tape in from Jacksonville last year and some of the things that you see this year that you might expect to be a little bit different?
Well, I think they had a few more weapons than they got this year. Last year, defense was extremely solid, but the offensive line for Jacksonville last year, the line was bigger than what we thought it was, and they executed a little bit better. And then, of course, they had 2 running backs that were just, excellent running backs, and I think that they lost a little bit, but, once you win and you know how to win, you can take an average team and still win because the thought process and the belief process is in their mind. So, it's not going to be a easy game by no stretch of the imagination. We'll have to beat them. We have to execute if we want to win the game.
Absolutely. Coach, I know you guys will be super motivated this week for their first home game. Head over to Lot Mosby Memorial Stadium Friday night for that game against Jacksonville. We'll break it all down next week right here on the Bulldog Blitz.